Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Expandly the Story So Far. Thank you very much for joining me. We're just going to wait a few moments for people to come through and to join. But my name's Andy Hooper. Thank you very much for joining me. And today we're going to be looking at expanding the journey so far and moving into episode 4. We've had 3 episodes. We'll give you the highlight, obviously, from the previous 3 weeks. I'm going to do a little recap on those. And then what I'm going to move into is how we've arrived at our new vision and new dream of what we want to do with the business now we've acquired it. So last week we talked about the oats process, and I'll touch on that in a moment. So how we've adapted, and now what we're looking to do is to shift the business into a new direction that we briefly touched on with Ant last week. So let's go through those things. So over the last 3 episodes, they're all available for you to go back and watch on the channel that you're looking on. I guess the first thing to say is you're probably seeing me in new surroundings, which is great. We've got a media tent, would probably be the best word of describing it, that we put together probably 18 months ago, but I hardly ever use it. So I've tried to make a concerted effort to actually get on and actually use it. Because it's a great piece of kit. I can move around a little bit more freely. I've got a microphone on. I can move around and I can go and get whatever I need. Hopefully it'll be much better and it will come across in a much better. I'm better stood up, being a little bit more free. I'm just blinded by lights, but that's my problem, not yours. So last 3 episodes. First episode, we talked about why we were looking to acquire businesses. And how we came to acquire Expandly. We acquired Expandly in July last year, and we then acquired the business and we moved into a process called oats, which we discussed in episode 3. But in episode 2, we talked about what Expandly does today. And we talked about the inventory management, the listing management, the accounting tool, and all the different great bits that it currently does. So if you missed that, or you currently looking for an inventory management or a listing management tool, then it's a great piece of kit and you should definitely go and look into it. The other thing that you need to, we then moved on to was episode 3, which was last week. And we talked about the oats process. We looked at, first of all, how we came to acquire it, what it currently does, and what we do once we've acquired a business. Now, we go through a process called oats, which we touched on last week, which was observe, assess, track, and shift. We just observe what's going on within the business to start off with. We then assess how good that is based on our metrics internally. We then look and see, well, we'll track that through KPIs and measurements, and then we decide what we want to shift and what we want to, whether we want to stick or twist, I guess, is probably the best way of looking at that. So we did that, and today's episode really is about that shift and what we're really looking to do with that business. And I'm not going to give a huge amount of way of what we actually want to get to. I'm going to give the overview of what that looks like. I don't want to spoil the surprise for you. And then we'll go through those bits now. So when we started going through the process of assessing and the oats process, one of the things we were looking at is what is the feedback from the customers that are currently using it, and what's the feedback from our current customers about what they want going forwards. So the global e-commerce experts model is very, very simple. It's to globally expand brands. At the moment, we really support US sellers into Europe. That's what we do really, really well. And that's where our focus has been today. So that's the bit that we've been focused on. That's the bit we've been working on. And over the years, as we've built that business out, we've gone through, we've sold all the compliance piece, we've sold all the logistics, and then we've got this online distribution, online management piece. So what we're looking at is at the moment is obviously if Expandly does that online distribution, you link to many marketplaces and website platforms. You do your listing management. It does that piece really, really well. So what we started to look at was feedback from the current customers. What are they using? What are they not using? What works really, really well? The accounting system works really, really well. The listing management works really, really well. The inventory management works really, really well. So those 3 pieces are really, really key to scaling and growing that piece of software. And then what we started to look at is, well, okay, we've got this software, this is what we want to do. We started thinking about, okay, what could it do and where could it go? And what is it that GE ultimately wants to do? Now, our vision is to globally expand brands. At the moment, it's typically people based outside of Europe selling into, although we do a huge amount of UK to Europe, Europe to UK, but the majority of our trade is US businesses selling into the European market. So when we start thinking about, our goal is to globally expand. We can't globally expand those brands without a piece of software that makes that easy. And the other two things that we really want to focus on is simplifying things for customers and obsessing over that journey. For me, the simplification of being able to expand should be easy. If you're a global S&P 500, FTSE 100 business, actually to expand in some ways is relatively straightforward. There's lots of businesses out there, the GXOs, the DSVs, and so on, that will help you to do that from a global perspective. You will pay a premium and you will pay a hefty premium, but nonetheless, because you're the size of business you are, will give you the capacity to be able to do that on scale. And when you start looking at SMEs, it's just not possible to do that. It's much more bitty and much more convoluted. So how can we as a business simplify that with what we've got in the past? Now, we've got our expansion journey that we've already done for people that you've already seen and we've already talked about. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, we've got a pathway that helps people to expand. We've got the book coming out on it very, very soon. And it just basically breaks down the steps you need to do in order to have a successful expansion. And that's why we call it the expansion success pathway. Now, when you start looking at all of those things, we then started thinking about, okay, well, what do our customers want? What do our customers need? Now, I always come back to this Henry Ford thing. Many of you would have heard it and seen it before, that if Henry Ford had given people what they wanted, they would have given them a faster horse. But he obviously ended up with the car. Now, we've spoken to many, many clients. We have calls with our clients on a weekly basis. We've got thousands of clients, and we're constantly talking to them, engaging with them about what would make their journey seamless, what would make it frictionless, what would make it simpler, what would it make it easier, how could we support them with those things. And a lot of the things that comes up is that, well, currently, Andy, in order to expand, when we're working with you just on its own, it's great. Some clients only use us for one thing. So it's important to look at actually what do we actually and where do we want to go. We want people to use us as a holistic end-to-end solution where we do all their compliance, all of their logistics, and all of their online distribution. Now, in order to do that, what customers are also saying is, well, Andy, in my home market, I've got, I'm based in the States and I've got, I understand that market intrinsically. I've got software that runs this business. I've got the people, the systems, the processes, and everything's completely dialed in. When I expand to a new region, let's say Europe, when I go there, I've got 3 or 4 different partners, which you don't if you use GE, but let's say you've got 3 or 4 partners. You've got different pieces of software. None of it, only 50% of it is online, and it makes it very, very difficult. So the ability to centralize that is really, really powerful. One of the things we looked at as a business many, many years ago, well, I say many years ago, 18 months, 2 years ago, is actually we need a portal for our clients. We need the ability for our clients to have a central portal for them to log into, to be able to manage our services in one place. So what we came up with was, okay, well, we've now got Expandly. We've got this piece of software, expandly.com. Oh, that goes quite well. What do we do as a business? We expand businesses. So actually what we looked at was during this oats process was, how do we shift that part of the business to be Expandly? How our business to Expandly? What would we need to do to solve our current problems with our clients? Our clients' problems, not our problems with the clients, but how do we resolve those pieces? We know that clients want it all in one. We know they want a piece of software that just makes their life easy. The 2 things for me is simplification and obsession over the customer journey. How do we simplify and make your job as a seller really simple and easy? And the more we thought about it, the more ideas that came up. We started out with these spider diagrams and all these different pieces of information. And as we started building all of that out, we started bringing all that together more and more and more. And we ended up with this idea where the portal, for the want of a better word, should be the central point of expansion for people. So when people are expanding, they've got a portal they can just log into where everything goes into one place. And for me, that seems like that's a no-brainer. And then when you start reaching that a little bit further, you go, well, okay, we've got these, 90% of our clients are US based. So they're taking their products from the US and bringing it into Europe. Well, if we could then take that and put that into Canada, Mexico, Australia, India, Japan, the USA, all of a sudden, clients wherever they are in the world can expand to a new region all through a central portal. And that's where we started going mind-blowingly bonkers, because all of a sudden we've got a piece of software that we've acquired that is specifically for listing management and inventory management and accounting. That's what it does. That's what it's there to do. The accounting piece was a byproduct of the pieces that it could already do. And all of a sudden, our eyes are starting to open more and more and more as we've acquired the business and our thought process is going. Originally, it was just to solve our online distribution. We've got the compliance, the logistics, and the online distribution. It was just to solve that one piece. And as we've gone through the process of observing, assessing, tracking, and then shifting, it's becoming more and more apparent what the needs of the software are, what the needs of our clients are, and what we need as a business, as a piece of software to develop going forwards. So we've ended up with this really unique solution that is going to be able to provide SMEs, small, medium-sized e-commerce businesses, the opportunity to compete with their competitors that are significantly bigger with them in order to scale and grow their brand. Yes, we're going to be focusing on the European market first because we're already here and we're already nailed that. That piece is all going to be in place and we're going to just bolt that into what we're doing so that, we can make that and understand that. But when you start thinking about the global vision, the global footprint, and the ability for sellers at the click of a button to be able to expand to new regions, that's powerful. That's unique and that's different. So we've done a lot of those things. We've pulled that all together. But we came from this from what are the problems our customers are facing? When you think about expanding, it's got a limited number of users. So whilst the user experience from them is crucial, actually what our clients needed from it was really, really important. When you start actually thinking about it, too many partners, too many pieces of software, or not enough software and visibility in order to make those things work. And, simplifying that all into one piece is really, really important. So we've ended up with this solution where we're going to be able to pull everything into one. And I'm going to talk about broadly what that looks like. So if you imagine when you're a typical customer of ours will be doing their business compliance. Business compliance is tax to you and I. And for people in Europe, that's VAT, value added tax. But different parts of the world are GST or sales tax, lots of different things around the world. But if you think of the compliance piece as business tax, that's what people need. They need to solve the business tax, number one. The second piece of compliance is product compliance. When you think about product compliance, you need to think about three things. You need to think about what regulations do my products fall under? And secondly, do they meet that? And then thirdly is, do they meet it and are they certificated to prove that? And thirdly, is the label compliant when it goes to the end user? All right. So when you look at compliance as a whole, there's lots of information there that needs to be managed somewhere. Now, currently, lots of clients send their labels to us and their tax documents and everything else. And we've got lots of portals and things to sort of keep all that information safe for our customers because of GDPR and lots of different other reasons. When you start thinking about all of that and pulling that together, that all needs to be centrally managed. You want to be able to manage your VAT and your product compliance all in one location. Then when you start thinking about the logistics, okay, well, I've got those pieces sorted. I want to ship my products from China and I want to bring that into somewhere. I want to put that into a warehouse. And in that warehouse, I want to see my orders. I want to see where my goods are. I want to see how much stock I've got, etc. You want to be able to manage that all in one place. Then you've got the online distribution piece. And then you've got the basics of, how do you manage your logistics solution? Most people are using a ticket desk of some sort. So how do we put ticket desks into this? And when you start pulling this all together, you get this really powerful piece of software and idea of exactly where we're going. With a view that at a click of a button, you can expand to a new region. You've already got the documents, everything's already in there. It's going to make life so much easier. And I think that for me, that's the power right now. It's the power for you to be able to expand simply and easily and compete with these multinational businesses, multi-billion-dollar businesses. And that's the power that we want to get to. So hopefully that's been useful. Just as a recap, we looked at the software, we looked at the vision of where we wanted to take the business, and we've looked at what that looks like going forwards, and what it looks like a piece of software that enables frictionless expansion to simplify and make sure that someone's obsessing over your journey to support you so that you can compete with much, much bigger businesses. Now, the good news is, let me just put my little clicker on. I don't know where I've put that. I've probably lost it somewhere. Banners, here we go. There you go. If you want to join the waiting list, you need to, now let me rephrase that. You need to join the 2.0 waiting list. The Expandly 2.0, easy for me to say, waiting list, details are going across the clicker at the bottom. You need to go to that website address to be able to register for 2.0. You need to join the waiting list to enable you to get the first updates, to be able to build out on this and to take the software on and to start using it. We're going to be launching this in very, very strict numbers to make sure that we don't overcommit to people. We've already got a number of users. We're going to be limiting the number of users that we onboard each month. We do not want to be opening this up to hundreds and hundreds of different businesses. We want this to be a select few businesses. In order for you not to miss out, you need to join the waiting list. We'll be starting with people on the waiting list to start doing demos first. They will be the people that get this first, nobody else. You have to join the waiting list, and that's really, really important. So that's the waiting list. Do that. There's no docu-series next week. I am at a conference next week, therefore it's going to be too difficult for me to do it, but I'm going to be doing it the week after. And episode 5 is about us becoming a software business. So we've transitioned from a service base, and now we're transitioning into a software business. I've even worn a pair of trainers today to be cool like the kids with the software. So that was awkward, I get that. So how are we adapting from a service-based business into a software business? What does that process look like? How are we going through that? So make sure you tune in for the episode in 2 weeks on the 20th to learn what process we're going through to understand how to do that. We've not done that before. We've obviously acquired a software business that's got all that in place and the people to make that work. So, but for me, it's a journey. For people listening, it's going to be a journey. That's it from me. Thank you very much for joining me. My name's Andy. This has been episode 4 on Expandly the Journey So Far. Make sure you join the waiting list if you are an e-commerce seller that wants to globally expand your brand. If you're in the UK, join the waiting list. If you're in Europe, join the waiting list. If you're in the US, join the waiting list. The ability for you to ship your products. This software is nothing you've ever seen before. It's going to be hugely powerful. It's going to be a game changer for your business, and you need to join the waiting list. We're going to have a limited number of people. We're going to expand month on month, and we're going to join them from the waiting list. You have to be part of the waiting list to get in, and we're going to build it out very slowly, but it's going to be game changing. So you need to be involved, and the only way you're going to get involved is by joining the waiting list. My name's Andy. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you on the next episode in 2 weeks' time.